So, you've been trying to improve in chess but still moving your knights like they're practicing parkour? Yeah, we've all been there. But don't worry today, we're diving into some super easy tips that will have you actually checkmating your friends or at least confusing them into submission. Alright, so what are we covering today? Don't worry, I'm not about to throw a 500-page chess manual at you. We're keeping this fun and simple. First, we'll clear up the biggest chess myth: strategy and tactics. What's the difference and why they matter? Then, we'll dive into opening principles, how to start strong without feeling like you're cramming for your high school finals. And of course, I'll show you how to avoid traps, the kind where your friend beats you in 4 moves and you're left wondering if you even learned chess. Finally, I'll let you in on the secret to thinking like a grandmaster. No, you won't actually become a mind reader, but you'll start making moves that will have people thinking you are. By the end of this, you'll be checkmating like a pro, or at the very least confusing your friends into wondering if they're really that bad. Alright, so let's kick things off with the basics opening principles. And no, I'm not just talking about flinging your pawns forward like you're setting them free into the wild. We're going to break it down so it's easy. Imagine this: you're sitting across from your opponent ready for battle. What's the first thing you do? You control the center. Your goal in the opening is simple: get your pieces out, control the center, and don't leave your king stranded like he's waiting for an Uber. The easiest way to do that? Push your central pawns, develop your knights and bishops, and for the love of everything, don't move your queen out too early. We've all been there. Move the queen out too fast, and suddenly your opponent's chasing her around the board like it's some medieval game of tag. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. So here's your opening cheat sheet. Push 1 or 2 central pawns. E4, D4. You get the idea. Develop your knights. Think of them like your trusty horses galloping into battle. But no parkour this time, all right? Just nice, L-shaped moves toward the center. Get your bishops out to help control the board. They're like your long-range snipers. Use them wisely. And please, whatever you do, Castle, get that king safe. I mean, you wouldn't leave your house unlocked in real life, right? So why would you leave your king chilling in the middle of the battlefield? Castle early, castle often, and your king will thank you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, that sounds great, but does it really make a difference? Let me answer that with a story. True story time. I once played a game where I didn't follow any of these rules. No center control, no development, and definitely no castling. You know what happened? I lost in 10 moves. 10 moves. It was like my opponent had a GPS tracking my king's location. So yeah, these principles, they work. Follow these simple steps, and you'll be in a good position in the opening. No need for fancy tricks, no crazy gambits. Just good, solid moves that set you up for success later in the game. Remember, you're not trying to win in the opening. You're just setting the stage for what's to come. Chess is like building a house. You don't start with the roof, you start with the foundation. So get your pieces out, control the center, protect your king, and you'll be miles ahead of where you started. And if you find yourself tempted to move that queen out on move 3, just hear my voice in your head saying, "No, bring her back. She's not ready for that kind of responsibility yet." All right, that's step 1. Now that we've got your opening on lock, let's talk about something a bit more exciting. Tactics. Now that you've got your opening sorted, let's move on to the real meat and potatoes of chess. Tactics. This is where the magic happens and where you get to pull off those sneaky moves that make your opponent question every life decision they've ever made. But don't worry, you don't need to memorize 1,000 different combinations. You just need to know a few basic tricks, and you'll be winning games faster than your knight can make its first L-shaped leap. Let's start with the fork. This is when one of your pieces attacks 2 or more of your opponent's pieces at the same time. Most of the time, it's your knight doing the dirty work because, well, knights are tricky little creatures. They jump in and out of squares like they're auditioning for a role in an action movie. So imagine this. You plop your knight down on a sweet spot, and suddenly, it's threatening both the king and the queen. Boom, your opponent's sweating bullets, and they can't save both. Cha-ching, you just leveled up your game. Next up, we've got the pin. This one's a classic. You line up your bishop, rook, or queen with one of your opponent's pieces, and that piece can't move because it's shielding something more important behind it. It's like they're stuck between a rock and a checkmate. There's a lot more where that came from, but for now, let's focus on making you an absolute beast with these basics. Oh, and let's not forget the skewer, the evil twin of the pin. This time, the bigger piece is in front, and when it moves, the smaller, more vulnerable piece behind it is left wide open for the taking. It's like when someone tries to run away from a burning building but leaves their wallet behind. You swoop in and grab the loot. It feels good, doesn't it? Now, before you get too excited and start looking for forks and pins in every position, let me give you a little word of caution. Don't force it. Chess tactics are like opportunities in life. You can't rush them. You've got to wait for the right moment, then pounce. If you go tactic hunting in every game, you'll end up overextending yourself and walking right into your opponent's traps instead. Trust me, it's not fun being on the receiving end of a knight fork. So, what's the key takeaway here? Tactics win games. They're your secret weapons, your quick strikes, your game changers. Master these basics, forks, pins, skewers, and you'll be snatching up pieces left and right while your opponent stares at the board in disbelief. And let's be honest, that's one of the best feelings in chess. All right, now that you've got your tactics in the bag, it's time to level up and start thinking about strategy. This is the part of chess where you stop playing like a reckless teenager and start playing like a wise old sage. Strategy is all about planning, positioning, and making sure your pieces are working together like an elite squad on a secret mission. First things first, position over material. I know it's tempting to grab every pawn or piece you can, but sometimes it's not about how much you're taking off the board. It's about where your pieces are on the board. Think of it like real estate. You want the best locations, those sweet central squares where your knights and bishops have room to move and dominate. Your pieces shouldn't be chilling on the edge of the board like they're at some awkward middle school dance. Get them into the action. A good rule of thumb: look for outposts. These are squares where your knights and other pieces can set up camp and cause all kinds of trouble without being easily chased away. If you get a knight into an outpost deep in your opponent's territory, it's like having a spy behind enemy lines. Annoying, dangerous, and hard to get rid of. Then there's pawn structure. I know, pawns aren't the most exciting pieces on the board, but they're actually the backbone of your strategy. A bad pawn structure is like a house of cards. One wrong move and the whole thing comes crashing down. Double pawns, isolated pawns, those are weaknesses you don't want to have because they become easy targets. Keep your pawns connected and supporting each other like a good chess family. No lone wolves here. But wait, don't overthink it. I get it, when people start talking about strategy, it can feel like you need a PhD in chess philosophy. But here's the thing. Strategy isn't about trying to predict every single move your opponent might make. It's about making solid moves that improve your position little by little. Every move should have a purpose. And if you don't have a purpose, well, that's your clue to rethink it. Here's a little chess mantra for you. Plan, improve, and wait for the blunder. It's not as glamorous as launching a tactical barrage, but trust me, it works. So, to sum it up, strategy is about positioning, patience, and making sure your pieces are where they need to be when the real action starts. Think long-term, stay cool, and remember, chess is a marathon, not a sprint. All right, so now you've got the whole package. Openings to get you started, tactics to pull off those sweet combos, and strategy to play like a true mastermind. You're no longer just moving pieces. You're commanding an army. And trust me, once you start thinking strategically, your chess game is going to level up faster than you can say checkmate. But we're just getting started. In the next episode, we're diving into the real mind games. How to read your opponent like a book and set up traps that even Houdini couldn't escape from. Plus, we'll tackle some of the most brutal endgames that will make you rethink every pawn you ever underestimated. So if you're ready to go from, oh no, I blundered my queen, to, wow, I just trapped their king, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me next time. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a game changer. See you on the board.